Hey guys, welcome back. We're gonna get a few more minutes before we start the diag. We'll let everyone get in here as I'm choking on my words already. But what we have behind us is a 2006 Jeep Commander with no throttle response at all. The customer said he can start it up and runs at idles. He can't go anywhere. He read on the internet that it might be a throttle body. He bought another throttle body, tried it. He said it had different issues then, but he couldn't really explain what it had. So I haven't tried the new throttle body. I did a code scan and I pulled the air intake off just so we have access to everything. He did clean the throttle body, so I don't know if it had debris in there before, if it was really dirty, but that's what we're starting with. We're normally starting about an hour worth of diagnostic time. I don't know if that heater's too noisy, but I may have to shut it off. And so once we get started, Valerie will start a countdown. And are you on screen?
I am on screen. Hi.
So you don't get to see her on screen very often, but there she is.
And I'm popping off a screen once you get started.
So how many people we have joining us?
There's 14 right now.
Okay.
Ha! I'm loving this live stream already. You're all getting fancy, PJ. So much for getting chores done. Now we'll watch Chad instead. And Val, Corey.
That works. I'm not getting any chores done either. I think we spent like 6 hours down here last night.
You did. I fell asleep in the trunk of my car while you sat
Yeah,
set up.
I was having issues.
Yep.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready for the timer.
I think we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay, starting the timer.
We'll start the timer. I'll flip over to my laptop to the original code list, and then every so often I'll pull that code list back up as new people come in, just so they can see what we're working with. If you guys have information systems at home and you wanted to research how the system works, you can, but we will be pulling some of that stuff up as we go through here.
You're going to have to call out what screens you want because you have too many
Okay,
hookups this time.
go to the laptop, with or without me. Good?
Laptop without you.
Okay, so we have 2006 Jeep Commander with the 5.7 Hemi. I did a full system scan, and what we're worried about are these codes here. PE2101 ETC Motor Performance Bank 1. I don't know if they have a Bank 2 system on any of these vehicles, but it is telling us Bank 1. We have Control System Bank 1 Limited Power, or RPM. Current Performance, ice blockage, and incorrect oil type. Now, my preliminary checks, since I don't know if these codes were set with the factory throttle body before he cleaned it or after he cleaned it, or the aftermarket throttle body, I went ahead and cleared the codes. I think I am, I'll have to reconnect to the vehicle. We can pull codes again. A couple of these codes did come back. The incorrect oil type did not come back, but I'm pretty sure that one requires a drive cycle.
Would you like the code list stuff?
Yeah.
Main mix? Rob?
You could come over here and finish this job, and then I'll go watch Frozen 2. Okay, I have the scanner hooked up. When I turned the key on, I did hear the throttle body activate. It sounded like it opened and closed, but I'm going to go ahead and just jump into engine only. I'm not going to do another full system scan. We're not really too concerned with all of the other devices on the network. We'll jump straight into engine once it identifies. And if at any point we have issues with lag, video, audio, let us know. I think we're running about a 10-second delay round trip from us going to YouTube and back to here. So depending on when your comment comes through, there may be a slight delay on when Valerie reads it.
And I'm a slow reader.
You want to jump to scanner?
Yep, your scanner.
Okay, the intake air temp sensor code, I set that because I have the air intake off. I did pull that sensor out of the housing, plugged it back in for our future testing in case anything is based off of the air intake temp. And the only other code we have is the 2101 electronic throttle motor performance bank 1. So at this point we need to find out why that code would set, what the code set criteria is.
Just so you know.
I'm not on screen.
Yeah, okay, I was just making sure you're looking at the camera, but there's no camera with your scanner. Just making sure you know.
Okay, how about now? Do we have the underhood with scanner?
There we are, yep.
Okay,
And
so
there's me too.
we're just going to use the intelligent diagnostic on the scan tool. I'm going to click on diagnose. We'll see if there's any useful information in here. Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. It'll give us a sure track information. Most of the concerns were replace throttle body, clean throttle body, replace a gasket, PCM, air temp sensor, fuel pump. That was probably a random one that got thrown in there. I do want to note that when I opened the hood, I did notice that the PCM is spray painted black, which means it's probably a remanufactured PCM. There are no service bulletins listed. We can look at specific data for this code, functional test reset procedures, but I want to find out why that code would set. If my scanner's too slow for this, it was running a little slow the other day, then we'll jump over to the laptop to see what the code set criteria is. We know it tried to activate because it did open and close on key cycle. Maybe here. It'll probably be faster if we jump to the laptop. I think that's what we'll do. We're going to jump to the laptop. And the code we're going to look up is the P101. I believe that's the code that came back. And if we jump into ProDemand and enter that code into the search, any questions so far?
No. Wow, I'll type slow because you're a slow reader.
Okay. Component operation. The PCM recognizes too large of an error between the actual position of the throttle plate and the set point position. It's a one trip fault. The code sets within 5 seconds. 3 good trips will turn off the check engine light. The ETC light will be flashing. So the ETC light on this vehicle, it has 2 lines with a lightning bolt in between it. I think it's supposed to represent a throttle plate. I'm not sure where they came up with the image on that one. When it's monitored, vehicle running, motor not in limp home mode, and TPS adaptation complete. So it sounds like there might be a TPS relearn on this. If the customer installed the aftermarket throttle body and didn't do a relearn, that could be part of the problem as well. If for some reason the computer tried to relearn, say the battery went dead, they hooked it back up and the throttle body was dirty, it could have learned incorrect values. And that ICE blockage code that we originally had could have been caused by a dirty throttle body or a sticky throttle body. Okay, so throttle body assembly, low battery voltage, or a PCM. So those are our options. So if we change the battery, the alternator, the throttle body, and the PCM, it should be fixed, right? I just need one of those printouts from the parts store. Okay, nothing else in there. Let's see if there's some OEM test procedures. I do have the picoscope ready to go. I'm sure that we're going to have to use it. And I do have a new tool that I may try on that throttle body to verify operation.
ETS relearn procedure. Good Auto Diagnostics.
So that's what we should do first? Okay, we may jump into that because we don't know what the current situation is. It has looks like a blemished battery or a remanufactured battery in it. The guy hasn't owned it for too long, so we don't know what the backstory is of anything. I do have the battery maintainer on there. We can go ahead and do that first. We'll see if the code comes back, and if it doesn't, then maybe we're good to go. And it was just a bad calibration. So I think, go back to the scanner.
Yep.
So under the intelligent diagnostics, we may not have to go find it because it might be listed right under the functional test and reset. No, they got the follower test, but they don't list the relearn. So let me go down to, might be system test. Here we go. We have ETC, throttle follower test. We have learn values. Let's go into the learn values, see if we can reset that. Okay, key must be on, engine off. I didn't really think about this, but I may have to take this over to the vehicle because I'll have to read the screen as I cycle the key and if I have to hold the gas pedal down.
I'm trying to get you on camera, but I can't.
Okay, I'm here somewhere.
Well, it's just going to be scanner only.
Okay, we're going to continue. We're going to follow the prompts. Okay, I'm going to hop in the vehicle and not touch the gas pedal. Press and hold it to the floor. Okay, got that. Holding it firmly. Man, if we get this done quick enough, we can go watch Frozen 2.
No, but I don't want to watch Frozen 2.
Release accelerator. Do not touch accelerator. ETC learn complete. Was that it? Learn passed? Okay. I'm going to reposition the camera to show you guys the throttle body.
Which camera?
The underhood camera. And I will go attempt to do the ETC follower test. So I don't know if this will sweep it for us. Okay, so it's going to move the throttle blade as we move the accelerator pedal.
Scanner with underhood? Is that what you want?
You can just leave it on the underhood.
Just on underhood?
Huh?
Underhood?
Yeah. Okay, I am in run test mode. Okay, go ahead and go to scanner with underhood.
Okay, scanner with underhood.
Okay, so what I'm looking at on the scan tool is it appears to be functioning properly. So it's monitoring the APPS 1 and 2 and the throttle position 1 and 2. And as I sweep the gas pedal, the throttle blade is opening and closing. So that appears to be working properly. So, man, this might be a short live stream if that's all it needs.
Woo, then we can go to Denver.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the key off. And we'll turn it back on. We'll clear codes, and then we'll shut the key off again. Sorry, trying to get back to the home screen here. Clear codes. Okay, no codes present. I'm going to shut the key off again.
Apears. Sweep slower on the scope. Corey. Blade opening smoothly. Good auto diagnostics. Did you hear me?
Barely.
Apears. Sleeps. Sweep slower on the scope. That was Corey. Blade opening smoothly. Good auto diagnostics. I feel like
Okay.
I'm yelling at him.
Okay, so that code did come right back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start up the vehicle. We'll see if we have an accelerator operation or if we're stuck in limp mode. We have no throttle operation.
You may have a mid-range dropout, Corey.
Okay, so I left the key on, engine's off. I got a feeling we're gonna have to scope this thing and do just that. Good auto diagnostics recommended sweeping it slower with the scope to see if we have a dropout. So that's what we can do next.
Corey. Hear me? Corey recommended that.
Corey recommended that? Okay. So I do need a diagram. This throttle body should have 5-volt reference. I don't know if it has 2.
Your shoulder's right in front of the Lumix. Just so you know.
We can go to laptop with main.
Okay, laptop with me.
So I'm going to go find a wiring diagram. And figure out which one of those wires is for our TPS. We should have 2 of them. I think they will sweep inversely, one starting low, one starting high. Electrical diagrams. And we'll find out if we have a dropout.
And expect a noisy signal from the throttle body, Corey.
Okay. And I do want to let you guys know that I'm not experienced with Chrysler electronic throttle bodies. I have limited experience with electronic throttle bodies in general. We don't see a whole lot of failures here in Colorado, so I don't get to diagnose them that often. And the ones that do have issues, they seem to be so intermittent that I can never get them to act up while they're in my possession. And all of the scope data looks good.
Current ramp the motor as well. Good auto diagnostics.
Okay.
I agree at good auto diagnostics. I know a lot of them shut down the throttle body if they see high or low current draws during the self-test. PJ.
So sensor 1 is going to be a brown and a dark green, or sensor 2, and 1 is brown and orange.
Do you want underhood or you want me to stay on this one?
You can stay on that one.
Okay.
I'll be right back out there. See if I can fit my amp clamp in there. Okay. I'll fire up the pico scope. My amp clamp on. Now the bad thing is, even in limp mode, I don't know if that follower test will work. We'll have to try that again. Find out if it'll let me command that throttle body open and close, or if I'll have to clear the codes, do a relearn, and then enter that mode right away without cycling the key. So we should be on like a 5-volt scale. So I'm going to drop both of these down to 5 volts. I don't have anything on channel 3 right now, and my amp clamp is on channel 4. So let's go low amp 20.
I like this setup better. I can look you right in the eyes while you work.
We rearranged Valerie's whole workstation. But now the heaters are running, so I still have a hard time hearing her.
I can talk louder, but I stumble over my words the louder I talk.
Yeah, make sure we're zeroed out here. Now this should be a pulse width modulated signal, and I may have to put this up a little higher. And what that throttle body is going to do is when it's opening, we should get current flowing one direction. When it's closing, it'll go the other way. And there should be like a set point where a little bit of air can go through as like a limp mode if the throttle body is not working. But the computer does have control to shut that flapper all the way down. I'm going to put some more time on the screen. And I don't know if my amp clamp is positioned on there correctly. Let's see where our voltages are sitting at and see if they match the scan tool. So we got about 4.1 and then a little less than 1 volt. You want to switch to the scan tool?
Yes. Scan only or with you?
Scan only.
Okay, scan only.
So TPS2 is 4.15. TPS1 is 0.86.
It's a name I haven't seen before in the chat. Toyota Tech Student. 2 thumbs up.
I think you've commented on a couple of videos. But welcome to the live stream.
Hi.
Okay, so we're matching pretty close to what we have on the scope. At least with the scope, we can monitor if we have any dropouts.
Do you want back on the...
You can go back onto the scope. Since I'm going to jump in the vehicle, I wish I could do a follower test and command it open and close from the scan tool, but it doesn't look like it's going to let me. And we'll set our current to maybe 2 amps. I don't know how much this is going to pull.
You confused me when you said the scope. It's labeled as laptop on my computer.
Oh.
I was like, wait, I don't see that button. I see.
Okay. So I just checked functional test just to make sure, but there was no ETC functional test, which is, I was hoping that I could just command it to certain percentages. So I'm going to jump in the vehicle. We'll leave the picoscope up on the screen, the laptop, and I'll move the accelerator back and forth. We'll see if we get any activity. So we have no activity at all. I may have to do the relearn again just to unlock it, see if it'll let us do anything. But right now I'll just cycle the key. I'll turn it off for a second. I know we'll lose scanner communication, but when I turn the key back on, it may do a full throttle sweep for us. Okay, so it did something. Is my laptop's with that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right here.
Let's see what it did, how far the sweep was. So we did have some current. What did it pull? And I don't know what a known good on these would be. But we went negative beyond what my scaling was. I may have to do a custom -10, +10. But the drop, I'm guessing, was at it closing the throttle body. And then, because it's going to try and run a full sweep from fully closed to fully open to find out what the parameters are. So it did jump up. I'm guessing that's fully closed right here, because we wouldn't want to lose even more range. And this one's going even lower than it was, that one's going even higher. So I'm guessing that that is going to close. So if this is a spot that was going open, then nothing really happened right there. We didn't get much movement. And then these kind of sawtooth pattern would be the pulse width modulation that the computer was doing. And if we need to, we can add additional channels to monitor that signal. But let me go ahead and do the relearn one more time. And we will redo the follower test and see if we can see a glitch or a dropout. So let me get this custom probe set up. Jump forward to that. And we want a new range of -10 to +10. I think that'll work. Is that in our list? There we go. So now when we monitor that movement, we have more range plus and minus, since this is a switching pulse width modulated signal. It's going to go negative and positive. Okay, I'm going to take the scanner back over to the vehicle. We're going to do the relearn one more time and hope that we get some additional control. Trying to unplug my stuff here.
You got it?
The one thing about the Zeus is I have to have it plugged into power on the docking station for the HDMI output. I think they make a USB wireless device that I may have to look at. So ETC learn values, let's clear those out. And it's possible that during this test it is going to sweep it for us. Continue. Yeah, the scanner.
Scanner with underhood?
Just this scanner.
Now I am. Sorry, I was on laptop.
Okay, so we're going through the process again. Switch to the laptop. We'll see if the ETC will activate.
Okay.
So I heard just the tiniest bit of noise from that motor. It says that the learn passed. Now, without exiting out of here, I'm going to go straight into the follower test. We're going to run the test. Okay, so we have no activation still. So apparently sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Being that it's intermittent, it could be something in the throttle body, or it could be something in the PCM.
You got a super chat from Toyota Tech student. It says loving it.
I appreciate it, thank you. Okay, yeah, I cannot get this throttle body to activate. You would think that on an engine off test, even if there's fault codes, that it would let you do something. But it's not letting us do anything. So what are our options? We do have another throttle body. Now switch to main Lumix.
Good afternoon, guys.
So go ahead.
MCK12345.
So Auto Parts Direct to You is a throttle body that the customer has. Don't know anything about the company. We normally don't have another part that we could throw on the vehicle and test it. We could test it with this one. We could plug this in, do the relearn and the follower test and see what happens. Unless you guys have another suggestion.
It's a summertime throttle body. Summertime it works, summertime it don't. Corey.
And unfortunately, it's winter in Colorado. No wonder it doesn't work. Okay. I think I'll just go ahead and plug it in. What do we got to lose? Make sure not to stick your fingers in the blades.
Was that comment directed at me?
No, in case there's viewers that aren't familiar with electronic throttle bodies, they do have a lot of pressure and a lot of force. and could possibly hurt you or chop a finger off.
Really?
I've never tried it.
Well.
One of these days, if I get one that's bad, maybe we'll try it with like a pencil or something. Because it's either going to do some damage to the pencil or do some damage to the throttle body.
Huh.
Okay. That thing is glaring.
Gonna have to finish this soon. Love these, Chad. Keep them coming. Mario.
Yeah, I'm going to try sweeping it one more time or doing the relearn. Guess we can, let me cycle the key. We'll see if we can run the test.
What camera do you want me on? We're on main Lumix right now.
That's fine. So I have no control of the aftermarket throttle body. Let's do a learn on it.
Watch for smoke.
Watch for smoke.
Corey. Some Swaptronics. Drew.
Yeah, we're going to diagnose before we diagnose on this one. But that's only because the customer already bought the part. Okay, we're learning our TP voltage, resetting default values. And what we're going to do is we're going to just do this real quick, the relearn.
You still want me on the main Lumix?
Yeah, that's fine. You might be able to go under hood and see the throttle body.
Let's see.
We'll see if it activates real quick, see if it flops over on itself.
What scanner is being used for the learn?
The Snap-on Zeus, software 19.4. Okay, learn pass. Now that first time we did it, I heard the throttle body activate after the test. Just gonna go ahead and clear codes out. And maybe we even need to do a full system reset. Let's reset all adaptives.
These Jeeps have a lot of electrical issues. George Bonnie. And you got another super chat from Michael. That one made me turn red.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Your I can't even read it right now. For your live stream equipment budget, winky face.
It's my budget is depleting quickly.
Well, he's helped you out right now.
Cool. Thank you, Michael. Jump back into ETC follower test. And
let me know when I'm supposed to switch cameras, because I don't see anything happening, but I don't have a mechanic guy. I don't know what I'm supposed to be seeing.
Okay. I'm going to jump back under the hood anyways.
Well, that's where the camera is.
Okay, so did the relearn with the new throttle body. We don't know if the new throttle body is good or not. Customer supplied parts off the internet. He said it wasn't the cheapest of cheap, but it wasn't expensive as well. I think he said it was around 100 bucks. We have the same result from two different throttle bodies. Does that mean that both throttle bodies are bad? Well, it could be, especially with parts nowadays. But I'm going to go ahead and unplug this other throttle body. We'll plug in the factory one.
Hey, be careful. Don't stick your finger in that.
So, still unknown if that is good or bad. We'll plug this back into the vehicle. And I suppose we'll have to just continue testing like we didn't have a spare throttle body to try on there. Okay, so is the computer capable of running current through that motor? It did a couple of times.
Do you have the laptop on?
Yeah, you can turn the laptop.
It's you with laptop.
Okay. So we can see a negative current here, and I don't know if which way my leads are. It kind of cycled the current, and then we get this sawtooth pattern as it modulates the signal. I still don't see, where it's functioning quite like I'd expect it to be. So is that the issue? Are we having a control issue? Are we having a feedback issue? Are we having a throttle body issue with multiple throttle bodies? It's weird that I can't manually operate it even when I'm in the test mode to cycle the throttle body. That's what's weird to me. So we might have to see if the throttle body will move manually. Now it did earlier, and I wish we had the scope hooked up when I had that movement. But what scares me is that it has a remanufactured PCM in it. Is the PCM not capable of driving the throttle body? Which I suppose that we could hook up to the power and ground on the motor control. Now what was this right here? We had was that the PCM resetting? We have a pretty big jump in our voltage right there. Now I'm not monitoring our 5-volt reference, so that might have been when I turned the key off and back on that everything cycled. That's probably what that was. Probably getting worked up over nothing. Anyone have a suggested test?
Swaptronics Epic Fail. McKinsey M.
Failed.
Which is also a new name, isn't it? McKinsey M?
I think so.
McKinsey?
I guess, how many people do we have in here right now?
My phone shows 34.
34?
Follow the water.
Follow the water. We're in Colorado. We got a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow. I guess this vehicle could be from somewhere else. Now the vehicle does have a lift kit on it, so who knows how much stuff has been done to it. While we have 30-some people in here, I want to let you guys know that we are going to give away something to everybody that is watching today.
You may put you on the main Lumix.
Yeah. So we have, I'm probably out of focus if I get that close, Practical Mechanic stickers. If you want to send me an email with your mailing address, and I would prefer your name and your YouTube name, just so we can put real names to account names. That way we can start calling, our regulars, we like to call them by name, and your mailing address, and we'll ship these out to you. The email, we'll put it up at the end of the live stream as well, is admin@thepracticalmechanic.com.
You'll also put it in the description below after this is done.
We'll do that as well.
That way people don't have to watch the end of your video.
In case you want to bail out now. Okay, so what else can we do? We can try out the new tool I got to find out if this throttle body is capable of moving. It might be a little difficult to monitor our feedback signals unless I depin the connector. But let me grab that tool.
Can I read you some comments? I check power and grounds to the motor, PJ.
Okay.
Sweet, can I get a t-shirt too, Drew? Can we sweep test the unplugged throttle bodies, Corey? You need a driver to run the motor manually, Steve Jacobson, another name that I haven't seen in here, right?
Okay, so I may have to, in order to do all that stuff, I may have to get my my test leads to go between the connector and the throttle body. I'll use my picoscope ones. They're kind of worn out, but I think they'll work all right. Otherwise, I have the AES wave ones, but that requires additional connections.
And Good Auto Diagnostics agrees with PJ.
Okay, so let me show you what we have. I'm not sure if one of these will fit or not. That one might do the trick. You want to flip to this other camera?
Underhood?
Yeah.
Yep.
So what these leads do is they give us a port for our scope, and then they have a male and female terminal. So we can unplug the connector if I have enough of these, which I should. I'm missing one. I might have to make something work. But I got 5. There might be another one in my box. I need 6. We can just plug that in line. So as far as the throttle body is concerned, we're still plugged in. We can hook the scope up to these individual leads and act like nothing's unplugged. So I'm going to hook that stuff up now, and I'll try and make sure I get it all hooked up in the right spots, and then we'll test it. Let me see if I have one more of those. I do. Okay. I'm going to take these other leads off of here to get them out of our way. Other than that, what are you guys doing on this Sunday afternoon? Or Drew, I guess it's right before noon in California. Okay, that fits snugly. Some of my leads are worn out, so I want to make sure that they're
watching you.
going to fit properly.
Andrew K. Drew was studying.
Uh-oh, what were you studying?
I'm supposed to be editing a video myself, LOL, PJ. I'm wrenching on an 03 CRV, George. Watching Practical Mechanic live, what else, Mackenzie? Charging up all the scanners, Bill. New battery in daughter's iPhone while watching you guys, Corey. And I believe Groff is filming a video right now, or at least he should be.
He's supposed to be. If he's watching in the background and not commenting.
Yeah, he hasn't been commenting, so I'm guessing he's filming.
Okay, you gotta get that done, Chris.
You do not want to know, Steve.
I probably don't.
I'm holding down the couch. Good auto diagnostics. Supposed to be studying for my final this week. You're distracting me. Toyota Tech student. I should be uploading a case study, but Michael.
You gotta finish editing that one. I think you said you were editing it right before we went live. And for the Toyota Tech student, what program are you in? Are you in the program where you you go work at Toyota for, what is it, 3 weeks, and then you go to somewhere like UTI for 3 weeks and you switch back and forth? Or are you just doing the T10 online learning? Okay, I think we got this giant mess of wires ready to go. Make sure that everything is plugged in properly. Okay. Yellow and blue is going to be our motor.
It's done and rendered. Just need to upload it, Michael. I gotta post my front end video and tag your tool in it, Corey.
Sweet. Did you build it out of just regular exhaust tubing? And if so, how did that hold up?
Scared me. What camera do you want me on?
I think we'll go back to the picoscope.
Which would be the laptop only.
And what I need to do is I need to be on a 20 volt scale. I'm assuming that it's going to apply 12 volts in a pulse width modulated signal, and it's going to alternate which direction it's pulsing. So 20 volt scale on channel 1 and 2. I did throw the amp clamp back on there. Now we're not going to monitor the sweep right now. I'll give it one more shot and we'll see what happens. What I think I'll do is I'll just cycle the key.
I did not make it, but wanted to add your video as a bonus, Corey. Am I still supposed to be on the laptop? Chad?
Okay, 1 sec. Yeah, laptop's fine. So that one did activate the throttle body for whatever reason. So could that mean that we have a bad pin fitment now that I have different connectors in there? It activated, or was it just a fluke? And let me separate these out a little bit and we can see exactly what's going on.
Wish I could go live like this with the Southern California Pico Club. Drew?
You can do it, Drew. Okay, so we have our motor current down here at the bottom. We have the 2 motor control leads, which it looks like this one is going to be either just constant ground, constant power. The one over here is going to be our pulse width modulation to control it. So if we had the 8-channel scope, we could have been looking at our sweep at the same time. And as we notice over here, they are flip-flopping. So our motor current kind of went the other direction. Our pulse width modulation that was going to ground went high. This went to ground to shut the throttle body. And then it kind of jumped around again. So we are getting motor control at this time. Let me run the follower test and we'll see if we can get some additional data.
T10 through community college. It's 2.5-year program. Half of the week at school and half at the dealership. Just have half a year left. Toyota Tech student. And then Mackenzie says, wiggle, wiggle.
Squiggly lines.
I don't.
Okay, it sounded like we got another activation when I cycled the key that time.
Try to initialize again. Bill. Are you on the scanner?
Yeah, scanner's fine. Carry this over there. Yeah, I really need to get a device to cast my scanner rather than being corded. Okay, we are performing the initialization again. Now I am seeing movement on the screen this time that I didn't see before on the laptop. It disappeared already because we didn't meet the amperage threshold for my trigger. Okay, holding to the floor. Releasing throttle pedal. And you can flip to the laptop.
Okay, laptop.
And I'm just going to jump in here and go straight into the follower test, and we'll see if we get activations on the laptop. So as soon as I hit the gas pedal, the check engine light started flashing. The throttle body is not activating. Let me cycle the key again.
And just so you know, you're at 53 minutes.
Okay. So we're running out of our initial diagnostic time. I typically do 1 hour to start with the customer, but I'm sure that we're going to exceed that. And typically I would call them and authorize more time. But going into this one, I did tell him that, you know, we may be looking above and beyond. You can go to the main Lumix. We may be going above and beyond our normal 1 hour just because he's had multiple things replaced and he still has an issue. I'm going to hook my other 2 leads up to the throttle position. We'll cycle that key again. Hopefully it'll sweep it and see if we can see an issue with that signal. So the nice thing about already having these other leads in place, you can go under hood, is we don't have to pierce any wires. We should be all good to go. If I can find the right wires. Connect that there. I need one more test lead instead of the amp clamp. So does anyone have the 8-channel lab scope yet from Picoscope, the automotive one? I know it doesn't have quite the input rating. I think it's only 50 volts instead of 100 volts, but it still seems like it would be a beneficial tool to have. I can't remember my colors. So brown and dark green and brown and orange. Okay, I got brown and dark green. We need brown and orange. Which color is that? Green. Okay. Hopefully I got those connected right.
You mean to switch to laptop?
Yeah, laptop. I have to change this one input to a voltage source. We got to turn on channel 3. Now these are both going to be sweeping about 5 volts. And
Michael Nicholson's here.
hey Michael, how's it going? Okay, those are both set at 0. Where's this guy at? So our green trace is now one of our throttle position sensors. The yellow trace is now the other throttle position sensor. Let's see, where's our red? Where's our red sitting at? Sitting at 0. Okay, so our voltage traces for the motor control are both sitting at 0. I have the key off right now. I'm going, why do we have almost 5 volts on that one wire with the key off? Pretty sure the key is off, but maybe that's our issue. Maybe something's backfeeding, or the computer just hasn't gone into standby mode yet. I'm going to turn the key on. We will see if it'll activate. I should probably put some sort of trigger on there. If that one throttle position sensor reaches over 1 volt, then it should trigger it for me, since I'm going to be over here on the other side.
Still want me on laptop?
Yeah. Okay, so not nearly as much activation as we had the first time. We just get a quick short activation.
It's going good. Just getting ready for cooking Rachel dinner tonight. Michael Nicholson.
Yeah, I was thinking about cooking dinner tonight too.
Yeah.
What fast food restaurant do you want, Valerie?
Taco Bell sounds good.
I'm a really good cook, depending on what kind of food you want.
You can cook Taco Bell, McDonald's,
Yeah.
Domino's.
Okay. So it is kind of strange that I get this real short activation and the throttle body is not going the other direction. It's not opening. It looks like it's closing, but not opening. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unhook the 2 leads that go to the PCM for the motor control. And I have a new tool. It's a pulse width modulated controller. We're going to see if we can manually operate the throttle body and see if it's capable of opening and closing consistently. But since I'm going to unhook those 2 leads, since we have it jumpered, I can leave the 5 volt reference in the ground and the signal's going to the PCM. We can find out exactly what's happening there and see if everything looks good. If everything looks good, is the PCM bad? Is it just not reading it properly and causing our issue? Could be. So this tool here, I'll probably do a full video write-up or video review of this after I use it a few times. We're going to hook up power and ground. This is the pulse width modulated Power Pro or PWM Power Pro. You plug it in, You have to wait for it to zero out before you can operate it. And it has a dial on it that changes how much pulse width modulation is going out to the device.
There it is, the driver, Steve.
It does have a polarity flipping switch, but that only switches the output lead. So you can't flip-flop power back and forth. So if you have a signal or a device that is pulse width modulated to ground, you can just flip the switch to ground. I'm going to leave it on power, and we will just have to flip-flop our leads to try and drive it both directions.
Knew that tool would be coming out, Corey. Do you want underhood or main?
Underhoods will work. So I unhooked my 2 leads that were going to the PCM side. I don't want to fry the PCM by sending power into it. So we have the blue and the yellow. Get the amp clamp out of the way.
Nice tool, rated at 40 amps. Got the same tool, Bill.
You know, we all want to have the tools that Keith has, but unfortunately Keith has a lot of tools that are obsolete or discontinued, like the Pulsar. So I couldn't find anything else, and I found this, and I thought that it would be a decent alternative. I don't know if I'm hooked up properly. Talking to the wrong camera, aren't I? Am I?
Well, where are you trying to look? I'm trying to follow your eyes, and I can't figure out which camera to click on. Where are you looking at?
We'll go under hood.
Okay.
We'll go under hood.
And we can't see your eyes anyway. It's on your hands.
Okay. Look into my eyes.
Oh, Lordy.
So I'm just going to turn this knob up. So I don't know if I can get an intermediate throttle opening, but it appears that the throttle body is opening and closing by command. It's only taking about a 30% pulse width modulation to open it. And if we go back to the picoscope on the laptop, we can actually watch this. I'll just turn off my trigger and we will watch it in real time, see what's happening. Maybe, if it wants to listen to me. Okay, so we got lots of noise. I'm not sure what that noise is from, unless we have an internal grounding issue in the throttle body from the motor. But Corey did say that these signals are noisy. I'm going to go ahead and stop that, and we're just going to take a look at it and see what's happening. I don't know. Maybe my picoscope ground is no good. Because that looks terrible. Terrible. Is that the case? Do we have bad ground? I just barely bumped it, but it didn't fall off of the metal. I don't know. That looks pretty horrendous.
It's a lot of synonyms for horrible you're throwing out there.
What's that?
Nothing.
Let me grab an additional ground lead. Maybe I have a bad cable that's just not getting adequate ground. We'll turn that all the way off. And I can connect another ground to one of my ground leads and see if we have less of a noise issue.
Love the YouTube channel, guys. Great job. Your Uncle Kelly.
Cool, thank you. Is this your first time joining in on the live stream?
Move it with your fingers then, Steve.
Okay, since we have the computer unhooked, just for safety, I'm going to unhook the controller. The computer's unhooked. It's not going to chop my fingers off, right?
I don't know. You want me to zoom in on the other camera just in case?
Okay, are you on the laptop?
I'm on laptop with you in screen.
Okay. So moving it by hand, we do get a nice signal cross there. The signals are inversing like they should. One starts low, one starts high, they flip-flop. That's how the computer does its rationality check. It wants to see that both are working together. Oh, maybe that's the issue. Go to the underhood.
Underhood.
So if I close this throttle body, it sticks. It should bounce back to that minimum set point.
Sorry. Fingers grow back, you'll be fine.
So we do have a somewhat of a sticky throttle body. Now I don't see any carbon in there. So it could be sticking in the motor.
What codes you getting?
You want to flip to the code list?
Yeah.
The aftermarket one that I have, you on main Lumix?
Yeah.
The aftermarket one that we have is an aftermarket internet source. We don't know if it's any good or not. The customer tried this one on there and didn't have any better luck. So Corey wants to see, oh, my scope ground is not on the throttle body. And I'm assuming that our 5-volt reference and ground is good to the TP sensor because we are getting those changing signals.
Are you gonna try that other throttle body again, Bill? And it's Cousin Kelly, your mom says.
Oh, Cousin
Sorry.
Kelly.
Sorry.
We can plug it in, see if it responds the same with the TP signal. Oh, that's a lot of work. I have to manually unplug all the wires and plug it back into this one. This one does open and close better than that one. It doesn't stick closed.
Is that the same thing you just said? Don't put your fingers in.
Well, it's powered up.
Oh, okay.
Because if
why would you put your finger in there if it's powered? Never mind. Okay. Okay.
So if you have your finger in there and the computer decides to shut the throttle body, then there's a potential for you to lose a finger.
Do people do that?
If people try to clean the throttle body on the vehicle with the key on, or sometimes even key off, the vehicle will cycle the throttle body.
Huh.
It's a bad thing to do.
Got it.
If you are going to clean it out, I typically unplug them if I can get to the plug-in, or make sure that the key is off. Okay. What else we want to do? This throttle body is obviously having a sticking issue. I guess we could try to clean it up a little bit, see if that sticking goes away, and that might be why it's failing that initial test. This throttle body may be junk, and that's why it won't calibrate. We still might just need a good factory throttle body if it's not discontinued.
I thought I seen a bulletin for a reflash for the incorrect oil code and throttle codes. Phil, check bulletins.
Okay.
Phil.
We'll jump to the laptop.
Yep.
And trying to think of what the fastest way. Identifix is normally pretty quick for checking bulletins, but we'll see if ProDemand has it. Now remember, the scan tool did not show a bulletin for the code that came back. I'll have to go to my code list. We also had a 2110 code, so we can search for that. Or may have to jump straight into bulletins. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything there.
Glance at ECM Easy, McKinsey.
The ECM is easy to get to. If we want to back probe or do any wiring testing there, we just have to pop the covers off, peel back some wiring loom.
Maybe it's the chargers I was thinking of, Phil.
Okay. Just glancing through. I don't see anything popping up as a TSB, but we may have to go to Identifix. I find it easier to find the service bulletins on Identifix over ProDemand, and I'm not as familiar with all data.
Are you going to be on this screen for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm leaving you on this screen for 1 minute.
Okay, so if you're commenting right now, I won't see it for just a minute. So we flip down here on Identifix. Is normally where they will have the service bulletins. I don't see anything obvious popping up. Nope, no service bulletins listed under just the generic search term of throttle body. And if we want to do the silver bullet fix, we could look at some of the testing that was done here and the recommended fixes. This top one, P2101 tried a new throttle body, just like our customer, just like we did. We tried the one the customer brought. We don't know if this is good. It's not a verified good. And it didn't fix it. Problem is intermittent. It does not happen all the time. So what they want us to do is check the circuits from the throttle body to the PCM. I'm guessing check the wiring, continuity test, or load the wires. Pins 3 and 5 at the throttle body, 2 pins 6 and 38 at the PCM, connector 2. Wiggle the wiring harness to duplicate the condition. Watch for a momentary open or high resistance wire. Okay, so if we do that, could we watch scanner data at the same time and graph it, and we'll limit ourselves to just the APPS? What's 3 and 5 of the throttle body? Is that going to be our, not our APPS, but our TPS? Are those the inputs for that? Or is that the motor control wires? I'm not quite sure. Let me pull up the diagram one more time. Okay, 3 and 5 is the motor control. Now, it seemed like we were getting motor control happening. Comments I need to respond to?
Yes, let me catch you back up.
Okay.
Did you say you had a battery charger or maintainer on this vehicle, Corey?
Yes.
No data.
That could be some of our noise.
You may keep going.
If that's what you're getting at, Corey.
No data. Phil.
Okay, our noise is gone.
No bulletin for TB, but there is one for the oil. Good auto diagnostics.
Okay. And I don't know what oil he's running in here. It calls for 5W20. But with the extra miles, people sometimes put in a thicker oil even though it doesn't need it. Okay, so now with the battery charger off, should we retry that test and open and close the throttle body? Okay, we still get the same noise, and I'm not sure why.
There's still more comments.
Okay.
You guys make a great team. Your mom. Your values did change when you hooked up those jumper wires, so I vote for retesting that new throttle body. Bill. Definitely noise from charger. Mackenzie. Heat an issue? Toyota Tech student.
It's currently completely cold unless we have a breakdown of the wiring because of heat cycling, hot and cold. But the vehicle hasn't been run. I don't know if it responds the same way when it's warmed up. If we were to let it sit here and warm up, maybe it would respond better. I have not tested that.
Try a throttle body relearn. Phil.
We did that with the new throttle body and the used one. We did it a couple times. We can do it again.
Switch your scope ground to throttle body. Corey.
It is kind of strange how they don't ground the throttle body. It's just mounted to the plastic intake. Okay, we got all kinds of funky stuff happening now. I suppose I could run an additional ground from the throttle body to the engine just to see. Let me zoom in on this and see what's happening. I'm guessing it's because we have a floating ground. Yeah, we're probably just picking up interference from the overhead lights or something now. Yep, about 60 hertz. That's probably an issue from the fluorescent lights. Let me grab a test lead. Okay, we have jumper lead. I'm just going to go from battery over to the throttle body.
Sorry, I meant the connector ground on the throttle body, Corey.
Okay, so the PCM ground for the TP signal.
Yeah, I think you're right. Dodge throttle body needed. Also, any waveforms on the IATN? Phil.
Oh, known goods. I won't pull up IATN on YouTube because I sent them a permission email a couple years ago and they told me no. So I don't want to get any flags on my channel. Since they didn't want to play, we won't pull them up.
Do it. Give it a tinfoil hat, Steve.
Tinfoil hat to get rid of the interference. Okay, I ran a secondary ground. In a second, I will move that ground over to the PCM ground. Let me unplug these two leads. We'll try sweeping it again. See if that noise is gone. Still there. So let me go to the PCM ground supply in this connector. I'll have to reference the wiring diagram one more time. Sensor return is going to be brown and dark blue, which is pin number 6. Okay, we have a little less noise, but it still looks pretty noisy. Let me go to a shorter time span, see if we can zoom in on this.
Shopping while watching TPM. Winning. Pico.
Okay, some of the noise could just be from the pulse width modulator. It seems to be a lot of oscillations in there. I don't know what kind of circuitry is using in there to pulse the power and ground. Let's see, which one is our sensors are on the green and the yellow. We can't really see what's happening. There's so much noise.
What's currently being scoped right now? Sorry for asking, I'm a little late to the game. Polly's Auto.
Okay, we were scoping the motor control, which I am controlling manually with a pulse width modulated driver. And that could be some of our noise that's being introduced. And then the other two channels is TPS 1 and 2 at the throttle body connector. So we verified that it opens and closes with this. I don't think we need that anymore unless we were measuring current. But this does have an amperage gauge on it. You know, if we crank it up, the throttle body opens at about 1 amp of current. If I crank it all the way up, then it pulls about 5 amps of current. I don't want to leave it wide open like that because the windings in there probably aren't designed for full power. And we don't want to overheat the motor in case it actually is still good.
I'm going to read you comments. I'm not sure if any of them were directed at Polly asking a question or at you, but I'm just going to read them all.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, I'm going to plug in the other throttle body.
Do you want me on a different camera?
You can go under hood if you want.
Electronic throttle body, Drew. Throttle body with tool controlling it, Michael. Rust Belt says, what's up? Unplugged charger from laptop, Steve. They are not. They are duty cycled.
Keith?
Am I switching cameras yet?
Um,
You keep looking at me, and I don't know what camera that means. I'm not a camera, but I
Okay.
like it.
So now that Keith is back, I'm going to get to that question. You said they're duty cycled, so does that mean not pulse width modulated? Or do you mean you don't want to run them wide open throttle because they are a duty cycle unit and we might overheat them? So I have the charger unplugged from the laptop. Cue the furnace. And
So I have your laptop with camera.
okay. One more time we will cycle.
Could be charger interference. Poly's auto.
Okay, we still have the noise. I'm guessing it's from the pulse width modulated driver. The laptop is unplugged. The charger is turned off. So the noise is probably being introduced from this device, but I'm going to go ahead and plug in the aftermarket throttle body. We will do a manual sweep test on it to find out if the TP signals work in that throttle body, and then we can compare the signals from the motor on that one to this one.
Pulse width modulation to prevent overheating of motor and faster reaction. Keith.
Okay. And in case you missed that part, we're using the PWM power probe because we don't have a pulsar, and I'm hoping that this can take the place of a PWM driver and a little bit of what you do with the pulsar. Where'd my throttle body go? Okay, I'm gonna start swapping these wires over. Valerie will keep you entertained. You're gonna keep him entertained.
How's that?
Didn't you learn a song recently?
No, I still didn't learn the song. I'm a slow learner. Oh, do you need to do the throttle body follower test, Phil?
We tried the follower test and it worked one time and it did not work the next time.
Val will now sing Tom's Diner.
What's that song? Oh.
That's all I got.
So we tried the follower test, we tried the ETC relearn with the new throttle body and with the old throttle body.
Am I supposed to be under hood?
No, because you can't see what I'm doing.
Got it.
I can't even see what I'm doing.
Rust Belt says marvelous. I can only assume he's talking to me.
Oh, since Rust Belt's in here and he's a Chrysler mechanic, he can tell us what's wrong. Okay, since you came in late, pop up that code list real quick. We have a bunch of throttle. The engine off.
And you're on the main Lumix. I don't know if you want the scanner up or not.
Okay, I'm going to unplug this device, get that out of our way, and I will try Keith's method.
Key on, engine off. That sticky plate is probably it, Steve.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. And I'm guessing the aftermarket throttle body just isn't good.
Oh. Just a heads up, every time you go to code list, the audio drops out. Corey.
Every time oh, okay. I'll keep that in mind. I forgot to add the audio source to that screen. Okay, I have the...
Oh, what screen am I supposed to be on?
What are you on?
The main Lumix.
That-
Scanner?
Let's go to the laptop. because you can't really see me on any of the cameras.
Okay.
I do have the key on. I have it in drive. Not sure why it switched our it switched our list to EGR. Let's go back to throttle body. So we have APPS reaction. We have nothing. It's not even trying to pulse the throttle body. Let me do run test. We'll try that again. Now on the screen it says that it is pulsing negative and positive, but we have nothing on the scope at all. So I think that it could just be lying to us, because we know that the computer is capable of cycling it at times. So I'm going to run the follower test, or the relearn one more time. Not that one. Clicking the wrong button here. ETC learn values. We'll try resetting it one more time. You can go to scan tool.
Okay, we're on the scanner. I'll catch you up on the chat when you're closer. That fan's really loud.
Okay, it says that our learning was complete, but I didn't see any activity from the computer. So I'm not sure exactly how it knows that it completed. It doesn't tell us pass or fail, it just says that it was complete. So once again, as soon as I hit the gas pedal, I heard a ding from the dash, check engine light started flashing. I'm sure we have additional codes in there just for me unplugging the throttle body. Oh, no codes at all. So I wonder if it erases the codes. Let me cycle the key. You're right there.
You're fine.
Okay, so this throttle body isn't doing anything. Okay, you can catch me up on comments.
Main limits, or do you want one of your...
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm late to the game, but from that pick list to guess, looks like gummed up throttle body, rust belt.
The throttle body has been cleaned. We did notice, go ahead and switch under hood.
Yep.
That the throttle body, the original one, if I close it, it sticks closed. It doesn't spring back like it's supposed to. Customer brought in this other throttle body. I'm guessing that it's just a cheap internet throttle body, and it's probably not going to be a good unit. So this one's sticky. I'm sure it's bad. The bore is clean. It looks like he did a decent job cleaning it. So I'm guessing that is in the motor and gear mechanism.
Who needs anything but aftermarket on a Chrysler? Polly.
More than likely the factory one's discontinued. I always go back to the same one. We had a 2015 Dodge Dart. Now this has probably been 2 years ago. Customer ran over a dirt berm in the middle of the road because they were doing road work, tore up the skid plate. The part was discontinued from the dealer. It was like a 3-year-old car. Just amazing me. I thought they had to produce parts for 6 years, but I think they had some loopholes with the Fiat Chrysler deal.
Hi, Uncle Chad. It's Tristan.
Hey Tristan, how's it going? Now you just left here a few minutes ago. I don't know if we caught it on camera at all, but my nephew was wandering around the shop a little bit.
Are you going to attempt learn, Bill?
On the new one? I just tried the relearn on the new one.
Don't do the follower test, just step on the accelerator, Keith.
Right now?
Probably got the throttle body from the zone, Phil.
Auto parts direct to you. Okay, real quick, let's flip it back to the laptop. I'm just going to do a quick manual test. I have the motor control unplugged from the new throttle body.
Sorry, which one?
A laptop. So we're just going to be monitoring the TP signals. Oh, I'm zoomed way in.
Sadly, I'll have to get back to work. I never do Sundays, but I'm much too far behind. Best of luck, Keith.
See you later, Keith. Thanks for watching. Okay, so the throttle position sensor signal is responding about the same on the aftermarket one as the new one. I'm going to plug in the driver. We'll see if it functions about the same with the driver.
KOEO, in gear, step on accelerator pedal. Be sure your scope is live, Keith.
Okay. Okay, are you on the scope, my laptop?
Yep. You want me under engine too, or just the scope?
Just the scope. Well, you can do under engine as well. Okay. I am slowly cycling the gas pedal to the floor, holding on the floor. It is key on, it is in drive, letting off. I'm not hearing anything from the throttle body, and I'm not seeing anything else on the scope. And in case you missed it at the beginning, Keith, it does look like it has a remanufactured PCM. So we still have no response.
Okay, so that test is not valid for this one, Keith.
Okay, those pulses we got right there were just from cycling the key on and off a few times. But I didn't see anything from the throttle body activating one way or the other.
And you're at an hour and a half, just so you know.
Okay, so we're way over our allotted 1 hour diag. So we get even less response out of the aftermarket throttle body than we were getting on the factory throttle body. It is possible that the factory throttle body, we were getting a current ramp in there, is trying to activate. And what it does when you cycle the key is it closes it first. And I got a feeling that it waits for it to pop back to that neutral state before continuing and running it the other direction. Since this one is sticking, maybe that's the whole reason why we're failing. The aftermarket one, who knows? It may just not like the signal it's seeing from the aftermarket one. So I think no matter what, we probably need a good throttle body from the dealer. And at that point, we could retest and see if the PCM is capable of operating it properly. Anyone else have any other ideas?
That's okay. We're used to not getting paid for diag time, Polly.
I suppose if we weren't doing this live and I just ran through the test, I would have checked the TP signals at the throttle body, both of them, made sure that they operated. I would have done the relearn. I would have tried the follower test, cycled the key a few times. If it was trying but not working properly, and I came out here and realized that the throttle body was sticking, at that point I probably would have recommended a throttle body. Since the guy's had issues in the past, I'd also let him know that we may have computer issues as well.
Yeah, get one from Napa, LOL. Your mom. Wiring and PCM, Mackenzie. Burn it with fire, Corey.
Burn it with fire. Now, the wiring at the PCM, is that wiring at PCM? Or wiring in?
Wiring and PCM.
Okay, we could do the wiring check, verify that we have no resistance of the motor control wires from the throttle body to the PCM. It is strange that sometimes it does control it a little bit. Maybe we should go ahead and lube up that throttle body. We'll just spray some WD-40 in there on the plates. Maybe they won't stick quite as much. Maybe we can get through the initialization process.
Maybe you can hold a little pressure at the plate to help it return, Steve. Do
Okay.
it running, Phil. Oh, and the problem was a frozen throttle body. Car isn't cold anymore. Keith.
Oh, the initial code?
Darn, I'm so late. Can we start over, welding junkie?
I gave notice this time. We had almost 2 hours heads up.
Are the inputs from apps being received at PCM, Polly?
Yes, we did have confirmation of that on the scan tool. Those signals were changing, but the throttle position and the motor control was not.
Just watch your fingers, Steve. App issue will almost always set an app code. Polly. Oh, keep talking to Polly.
Okay.
What's the TP data read on the scan tool? Computer seeing correct TP signals? Question mark. Good auto diagnostics.
It was very similar to what we measured on the scope. They were within, less than 100 millivolt difference between what the scope was reading and what the scanner was reading. And I didn't zoom way in to measure properly. I think we'll have Valerie cycle the key. I will use something other than my finger to hold a little bit of pressure on the throttle body.
Lordy. Maybe we should switch. I'll do that. My fingers don't matter as
But
much.
actually, I'm going to switch out all the wiring off of this throttle body onto the other one.
What's the IAT read? Seen Mike at NGK have the same issue on Dodge. Phil.
Since I got to come over here and shut the key off anyways, we'll pull the data on that real quick.
Do you want me to switch?
Yeah, switch to scanner.
Did you want me to do something?
Switch to scanner.
No, with the car.
Oh, in 1 second.
Flash that baby till she dies, Polly.
Okay. Intake air temp is 66. I believe our coolant temp was 66 as well. Yeah, and so we're right there. Our shop is 68 degrees right now. I'm going to turn the key off. I'll move some wires around, and then I'll have Valerie try to snap my fingers off.
Exactly what do you want me to do? No, exactly what do you want me to do? He laughs. What do you want on before I get up?
We will go under hood.
Okay, Lumix under hood. Just so you know, we're looking at your shoulder. Thank you.
So it'll be just a second. I'm going to flip-flop all of our wires back to the original throttle body.
Are you ready for me yet or no?
It'll be 1 second while I swap these wires around. So the ultimate goal, I think, for us would be to have a live stream setup that is a little more mobile in a trailer or something, or more permanently set up to where we don't have to do our tear down and setup every time. And then I think we would do live streams more for you. And I haven't had any good diagnostic vehicles in the shop that I've had over the weekend to be able to do these live streams. Okay, I think we're hooked back up properly to the original throttle body. So at this point, I will have my lovely assistant, Valerie, jump in the vehicle, and I'm just going to barely push on the bottom of the throttle plate. Let me zoom in for you. And Valerie will cycle the key. It should be off right now, but I'll just put a little bit of pressure on it. So the key is in the off position. You're just going to turn it to the on position.
Gotcha. And leave it on?
Yeah, and then leave it on. So it was sticking in the closed position, so if I can just put a little bit of force on it to pop it off of that position.
Are you ready?
Yep. Okay, I don't know if that did it or not. Go ahead and start it. And do you have throttle control? Okay, shut it off. Still no throttle control. Try it one more time. Key back on. Yep. So it's actually going the other direction than I expected. I thought it would try to close it first. Key off. So that may not be our issue. And actually it's not sticking now. Go ahead and go again. Okay, off. So that must not be the test it's performing, or that it's failing. It's not liking what it's seeing when it comes to the APPS. According to the code definition, APPS, no, that would be the TPS, actual and the set point. So it's wanting to see this at a certain value and it's not seeing it. But what we're seeing on the scope for the TPS is looking pretty good. Okay, that's it. I still don't like this throttle body, how it sticks. And of course now it's not sticking. So maybe there is just a small piece of carbon somewhere in there. Yeah, Valerie fixed it.
You're welcome. The Jeep we had the other day, the gears inside the throttle body were stripped. Pico. What's it doing? Not revving? Phil?
Yeah, when it's running, there is no throttle control at all.
Air gun at the blade might work too. Steve. PB blaster and lube it up. Phil. So the issue is the app won't open throttle plate? Jay.
Yes, APPS movement does not open the throttle plate. And we are setting codes for motor performance. Oh, there's a little bit of a lip there. I don't know if it's a wear in the throttle body or if it's a carbon buildup.
The test looks to be failing on key on. It should full cycle the blade. Rust belt. The controller operates the motor and scan to see TP signal. I would check wiring and PCM. J.R. Robinson. You have the signal but no control. George.
We have intermittent control. It did control once for us. So if we are going to check the wires at the PCM, do you guys want them back probed? Do we want to do a load test from the PCM to the throttle body? What do you guys want? And we'll get it done.
Who are you talking to? You're looking at me.
I was waiting for you to read a comment on which direction we're going.
Oh, okay. Let's see here.
We can't easily see the PCM on camera without me moving a bunch of stuff, but it's back over there.
A lot of smart guys in here. Jason C. Try clearing codes, come back instantly. Phil.
After a key cycle, they come back. Switch back to scan tool. Scan 2.
Scan 2. Load. McKinsey. Poke holes. Holly. Load test. Rust belt. Pierce at PCM. J.
Okay, so now I'm setting a different code. And make sure my wires are still plugged in good.
Can you do an unplug it test on the 5V ref or REF? George?
An unplugged test on the 5-volt reference?
Sure.
Not sure what you mean. Unplug the 5-volt reference and try again. See if it tries to command it.
What am I supposed to be on right now?
What are you on?
Scanner with underhood.
Okay. Let me do a scanner. I'm going to clear codes one more time.
Okay, scanner only.
We just need a 360 cam. People can look at what they want to look at.
Okay, I'm just gonna switch it to me then. You're on scanner though. Scanner only.
Okay, we got a bunch of weird codes there. Let me see if we can clear those. It doesn't seem like they cleared out.
Later, y'all. Gotta head out. Michael Berg.
Okay, thanks for watching. Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah. Bye, Michael.
Okay, no codes. Let me cycle the key again. Now it did sound like the throttle motor was activating more that last time I cycled the key. No codes present. Should we start it up, see if it runs? Okay. So that's even more bizarre, but that might give us a good direction to go into. Let me move this camera. Go to the underhood.
Yep.
And I'm going to cycle the key again. Okay, so the throttle body is moving now. Now, unfortunately, I did two things. I sprayed WD-40 in the throttle body and kind of wiped off a little carbon ridge that I felt in there. And I also touched the PCM connector.
Were you not supposed to do that?
So we may have disturbed multiple things. So we don't know which one is the one that fixed our issue. So I'm going to jump into the scanner. We're going to go to the follower test, see how long it'll actually behave. Now I don't have any data hooked up to the scope.
You want it on the scanner?
No, on the scanner, yeah. Because I unhooked the scope and plugged the lead right back into...
Scope it now while it's working. Phil.
Okay. What do you want me to scope? Motor control?
Let me catch you up on a few comments. Pin fitment issues at PCM. Polly.
That could very well be. And McKinsey kept telling us to check the wiring at the PCM.
Wiggle that PCM connector. Just play with it, Chad. Polly.
Am I allowed to do that on YouTube?
And that was in all caps, so you need to do that.
Okay, I'm looking for my ground lead. I want to get it hooked up to the scope first so we can find out what's happening. My scope leads are falling everywhere.
We're all crossing our fingers. Your mom.
Crossing fingers for pin fitment issue.
Oh, I thought the initial current ramp looked weird. Steve? Pin fitment at throttle body. Phil. Oh, lordy. Current, yes. Thank you, Steve. I read it like I see it.
Okay, give me one more second and we'll be up and running.
I have you under hood and with the scan tube.
You can go to Lumix main
Lumix main.
while I look for this plug-in.
You want a little background music?
Jump to
Take that as a no.
the scanner.
Scanner only.
Scanner with camera.
Scanner with underhood. I guess that's your only option.
Oh, I mean laptop with main.
Laptop with main. Oh lordy.
I thought you said you always knew what I was thinking.
Well, you keep looking right at me. Normally, I go by what camera you're looking at, but you're looking me dead in the eyes, and it's throwing me off.
Okay, so we have, back to our original setup, motor control. We have current on the motor as well. We'll find out what's happening there. I do have an additional channel. I think I'll just throw that. Is it this wire?
Are you pissed yet? Phil.
No. No, I normally don't get super frustrated since it's a Sunday. My time frame is pretty well open.
Okay, forget it, Chad. You run the cameras and let Val jump in. Jay.
Okay, I think that'll work. I'm going to throw one of the TPS signals in there. I'm not sure which one I went on. It looks like the one that starts low and goes high. I'll see what it's going to do. We might just start it up. I know we'll have a lot of background noise. We'll start it up. If we have it running, the computer's going to constantly move that throttle body, which will be a good time for us to wiggle test it. If it's a pin fitment issue, that'll be the easiest way to find it. If it's a broken wire or high resistance, then we may still have to unplug it and do the load test like you guys recommended.
So we need a point of val cam, Pico. I agree. Am I still on
The
laptop?
Laptop. Okay, I'm going to spread these waveforms out a little bit. And I'm going to start wiggling connectors. We're looking for anything that's going to cause us to drop out. Nothing at the throttle body. Let's try wiggling the connectors at the PCM.
Call your SM, Chad. You need more diag time. Kids need Christmas presents this year. Ollie.
Okay, I'm wiggling connectors at the PCM. And I don't see any dropouts there. So it still could have been an issue with a little bit of carbon on the throttle body. Doing the good old tap test on the PCM. That appears to be good. Okay. So would that tiny, tiny piece of carbon that I felt in there be enough to cause all the issues? I'm not really sure.
Fixed. Ship it, Ollie.
Okay, now that it's functional, I am curious to see if Keith's test works. No. Must not work on this vehicle.
Big nasty PCM tap test. Pico.
Like get a bigger hammer? Okay, I'm going to check codes again if you want to go to the scan tool. Okay, so I did set a throttle motor control or throttle control motor performance code again. And I wonder if now that that code is set, if we are going to be in limited power mode. We are. So we're back to square one. It didn't fix it.
You told me to be on the scanner, right?
Oh, I meant on the laptop.
I was gonna say. Wasn't sure what we were supposed to be looking at right there.
So we get a little bit of a pulse. We have no throttle control. Okay. Interesting.
Spray it with holy water and ship it, Mackenzie.
Well, we can't ship it now because it's broken again. So I'm just going to push on all the connectors at the PCM.
Hit the diagnose button. Phil.
We'll cycle the key one more time. We might have to clear codes.
Yep. Clear DTCs, watch codes, and redo wiggle tests. Polly. I'm supposed to be on the laptop, right?
You can switch the scan tool.
Okay.
We are clearing codes.
What's P2101 flowchart say to do? Phil. If you clear the codes alone, will it work for one cycle? Rust belt.
Without cycling the key, I'm assuming. So I cleared codes.
You want me on the laptop?
Yeah, you can go laptop. Nope, clearing codes did not bring back power even without cycling the key. And I got the P2101 code right back. So I think at this point we are going to have to check the wiring, as many people suggested, before we can go further. Because it is not cooperating. Let's go to the laptop and camera.
Got it.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up the code information for the P101. See if we can find the factory information. We looked at the Identifix recommended test, which was to make sure the throttle body was clean, and then do a wiring test between the throttle body and the ECM.
Did we hit the 2-hour mark yet? Toyota Tech student?
Is it actually counting up yet?
Yeah, we're at about an hour 58.
In red? Or down?
Oh, I don't think you...
Did I not set it right?
Or maybe let me go to the main Lumix real quick. Yeah, it's in red. I can't read it because it's against a red background.
Yeah, we're just about at the 2-hour mark on our diag. Okay. Component drive cycle. We want code set criteria.
Yeah, just roll out the motor wires, rust belt.
Just rule them out? Okay.
It's really quiet in here without that fan going.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We gotta find the pinout. All data is normally the best place for the computer pinout, if I can find it.
Can you load motor circuit with headlight, Phil?
Plug the, well, I can't get the, I can't get the computer to manually operate. I can't force it to operate the motor control. Otherwise, I could substitute a headlight in place of the throttle body. Maybe that's what we'd need for the test, but according to the code, it is a code that's setting because of the TP that it wants to see isn't what it is seeing. The desired and actual are different.
Tiny Tim gets nothing this year, Chad. Should have called your SM. Polly. If you can't, I can just send you it. Rust belt.
So what? If I can't find it? Oh, the pinout. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to look it up.
So put a headlight on one end of the circuit and jump power and ground to the other with both ends disconnected. PJ.
Okay, so load test the wiring with a headlight. We can do that. Identifix normally has the pinouts. Sorry, bear with me for 1 minute.
Yes, yes, yes. Polly.
And I believe it said it was connector C2, which
Yes, rust belt.
need to expand this one here. Does it identify C2 for us? We're just gonna, wait, I didn't click on a diesel. That's a diesel one. Okay, we're gonna assume that maybe it's correct, even though it says diesel. Kyle, I expect you to send a letter to corporate and let them know that this diagram is kind of iffy because it says diesel on it. Okay, you guys won't quite be able to see what I'm doing in here, so I'll let Valerie switch the camera to her full screen and she'll entertain you.
That's hilarious because Toyota Tech student just said we need a Valcam. I've got my own camera.
Did you guys know that Valerie's not even here right now?
I'm actually streaming from home. I'm helping Chad. Oh wait, you want me to do the green screen? Chad set me up a green screen. I asked him for a background of the wood. No, what did I say?
You said a forest.
I said I wanted a forest. I hate being full screen, but here we go. I told Chad I wanted a forest behind me. I meant like the woods, like Colorado wood mountains. He gives me the jungle. No, this is just embarrassing. We're not doing this. We're going back to yours.
Okay, are you on underhood or the main?
I'm on the main.
Sorry, I'm currently trying to get the safety clip unclipped from the PCM. And I am riding the struggle bus. Okay.
That bus has no shortage of seats, Chad. Polly.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I got the right one here. And it did look like the motor wires were a twisted pair. So I'm just going to glance in here, see if I see them.
What year is it?
2006. And do they label the connector? Of course they don't.
Oz,
Why would they?
Oz hoodie, not Chad's logo. Chad doesn't have a sweatshirt. It's cold.
I don't have a sweatshirt merch.
What is an average diag time? Andrew K.
At our shop, we start at an hour typically. If I can't figure out what's going on, or I'm like not even close within the first 45 minutes or so, then we may talk to the customer and let them know that it's going to be a higher diag charge. But for most diagnostics, I can get done in the 30-minute to the hour mark. Every once in a while, you have one that either you're unfamiliar for or with what's going on, how the system works, and it's going to require a longer period of time. Okay, is the backside labeled? 38.
Usual diag time, 20 minutes or 4 hours. George.
I think I'm on the wrong connector. All that work for nothing. Okay, give me 1 second. I gotta try and clarify here. That connector is not the right connector. Yeah, because they're including multiple vehicles in here.
Two hours and 5 minutes. You need connector pin out, rust belt.
Yeah, I may have.
C2 is second connector from right. Good auto diagnostics.
My right or your right?
My right.
The PCM's right? Okay, so C2 has 38 pins, and it's going to be black and orange. Okay, so I did have the right one. I was just second guessing myself because the initial pinout said a 58 pin connector and not a 38 pin connector. So I have a black and orange connector, 38 pins. Look at what pin numbers we need for the throttle body.
I'll be like my boss when we are diag. Done yet? Done yet? Done yet? Done yet? Figure it out yet? Any progress? We are gonna have to park this out. Got a brake job coming in. Pico. At PCM. Good Auto Diagnostics. Guys in a hurry and waiting. Polly.
Oh, that's why we're doing it on the weekend. I think this one's scheduled for the 17th. So we're a little ahead of the game. Okay, so pin 38 and pin number 6 is what we need. I'll have to look at the pins on the PCM, find out if I have the right terminals to back probe with. Or we can just pierce them. If we need to check pin fitment, we will. Okay, and the other one I said was pin 6, correct?
Sometimes scopes complicate things. They pick up noise, then you'll start chasing it. Phil.
I thought that said pin 6, but don't remember. Pin 6, dark blue and gray. Wait, that's not right. Is that the same color we had? Why did it change colors on us? Was it dark blue and gray at the throttle body?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking the audience because I don't remember. I don't remember dark blue and gray. No, that's the right one. Now we're really getting confused. See, all that noise from the scope fogged my brain. Okay, so I'm going to unplug the throttle body. what we can do is we can run a headlight bulb between these two wires. You guys can't see what I'm doing. Maybe you can. Are you under hood? Okay.
Yeah, I'm under hood.
I'll run a headlight bulb between these two wires, and then I will apply power and ground over at the PCM. That will test both wires all the way from this connector to the PCM.
Sure, blame it on the scope, Polly.
I changed my mind. It was Polly's fault. Okay, where'd my headlight go?
You have like 5 of those things?
Not a headlamp.
Oh.
An actual headlight off a vehicle.
Gotcha.
The one I normally use, I think, is in my Volvo. So we will grab another one.
You're in Colorado. Smoke and you'll figure out the issue. 2 minutes. Yep.
Who said that?
Phil.
I don't know. That might fog us up even worse.
Us.
I guess we would, we could come up with some more creative theories that way.
That's another name I haven't seen in the chat. Distinct Rides by Davey.
No, that's a new one.
He's just LOLing in the comments. I would wave, but my phone died.
Okay, almost there.
Oh,
You
gonna
just-
go for the double circuit testing, LOL. Rest belt.
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. If the headlight lights up nice and bright, then our power wire is good and our return is good.
I'll take 1 step forward.
And 2 steps back.
No, just so we can see them beautiful eyes.
Oh. Okay, that one there. Got 1 more wire to hook up. We're almost there. Bear with me.
Front probe the throttle body pins to eliminate the connector. Phil.
Okay, so that's pretty bright. I don't know what this headlamp is pulling, but I'm going to assume that the wiring is good. The headlamp's probably pulling anywhere from 4 to 5 amps. That throttle body was pulling 5 amps at maximum. I'm just going to throw my snap-on amp clamp on there. We are at 4.6 amps. Wiring is good. Phil says to front probe the connector at the throttle body.
I use this test all the time now that ABS computers are shutting off wheel speed sensor circuits when it detects an issue. PJ.
I need a couple of probes. So you use the headlight to load test?
I got burnt by that test the other day on a Sonic. Had throttle codes, tested with headlight the same as you are. Headlight was nice and bright, but problem was still there. Pico.
So what did it end up being? Wiring or throttle body? I'm looking for some wires for front probing this connector. Those are the wrong ones. I need the ones I threw on the floor. That's the best place to store your connectors.
PJ said yes.
So the load test I forgot what my comment was already. So using the headlight to load test circuits. Is that what my response was before?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So now we are front probed at the throttle body connector. Now the locking tab is broken on the throttle body connector anyways, so if I replace the throttle body, I'm replacing the connector. Okay, we are flowing good there, or illuminated good. Still pulling 4.7 amps. I'm sure it'll drop once the headlight warms up. Okay, now what? Now what do we do? Check pin fitment at the PCM. I'll have to see if I have connectors that match the PCM connector.
Come to find out, there was water in 101. Clean the water out and put dielectric spray. Problem fixed. The voltage on the signal lines are as jumping around. Pico. Junkyard time for OEM ETB. Polly.
I really wish I had another, vehicle so I could reference some of the signals we get. But I don't have anything out there with a 5.7 in it. Actually, I don't think I have any Chryslers out there right now, which is surprising.
Are these motors brushed or brushless? Steve.
I have no idea. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
I'm going to say no, that didn't answer anything.
Okay. I'm trying to find the correct terminal out of my AES kit to check that PCM. I don't know if I have quite the right ones.
All this for an intermittent junk TB. LOL. Rust belt.
Now these connectors, I don't have the correct connectors to do a pin fitment test, but that's kind of what I'm thinking it is. I think it's going to be an intermittent failure in that throttle body. Occasionally it'll pass the test and it'll operate. The rest of the time the PCM says, no, there's something wrong. We're not believing it.
I have a 5.7 Hemi Dodge if you need any reference. Jay.
Yeah, can you send me the throttle body? I just want to try something real quick.
I love that little AES wave kit. PJ.
Yeah, I picked that one up at Super Saturday. They had them on sale a little bit. I can't remember. It was like $15, $20 off. Plus, no shipping. When we got to the airport, we put my bag on the luggage scale, and it was 49.9 pounds. And the guy's like, don't touch it. Because if it's 50 or more, then you have to pay additional.
We're learning though, Polly. I need the micro 50s though, PJ.
Yep, that's what I'm waiting on as well. Big chunk of mud. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. That was laying on the inner fender.
Only other thing I can think of is a signal, wires, and possibly a power feed issue to PCM to do key on, engine off test. Phil.
So signal wires at the PCM. I mean, we had the, I wish we could get a faster response rate out of the scan tool. We could graph the throttle position signals and see if it'll actually give us that data as we as we turn the key on.
If brushed and they are worn, you could give it DC for a brief moment and current ramp it. Steve.
Okay. If it's brushless, then what? I'm gonna move the camera. You wanna go to the main?
Yeah, you're on the main.
Yeah.
LOL, it's on its way. Courier pigeon. Keep looking up, Jay. My money's on needs OEM. Polly.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But we will throw the amp clamp on there, do a quick DC voltage test. About time for a new battery in my amp clamp, but we'll see if we get a signal out of it. And sorry, one sec. Let me pull the diagram one more time. My connectors flip-flopped around, so I need to verify we're going in the right terminals. Dark blue and gray, and dark blue and light green.
I'm listening while working on my POS. That's from DIY Misfit Mechanic.
Unfortunately, I try to avoid working on my own stuff, so it all piles up. And then eventually I either have to sell it at a loss, park it out on the farm somewhere, or I have to spend a lot of time down here fixing it up. And I don't know if the service information will tell us if it's a brushed or brushless motor. I'm betting it won't.
Am I supposed to be on a laptop or anything?
Not yet.
Okay.
I suppose under hood would work.
Okay.
And get this amp clamp in place here. Okay, go to the laptop now.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to do a quick DC test. So that closes it. Let me reverse our terminals.
The tests are what matter, Chad. I love this format. Very cool. Polly.
Okay, keep in mind that the current is going the same direction on both tests because I didn't move my amp clamp. It's on my feed wire and not on the wires going to the throttle body. Are you on my laptop?
Laptop with camera.
Okay. So I'm not sure if these bars are the brushes, which could be, and that could be why we had a funky signal before. I don't see anything that's open or short. The other waveform, that's one I was just on. The waveform of the page before this is going to be the motor going to the closed position. So I think it's there, and then I shut it off and we get some like kickback as that motor moves the other direction. And this was the motor going to the closed position, I think. Unless there's another waveform. Nope, there it is. There's the other one. So the motor going to the closed position. That one's kind of nasty looking, but it only travels a short distance, and I didn't want to overload the circuit, so I unplugged it fairly quickly. Is that what you're looking for? I guess we can measure current. We are going negative. Let's see where we're at. Negative 3.8 amps. Unless that's our glitch right there, we can try reversing it again. But when I cycled the key, it never went backwards. It always set the code as it was toggling that throttle body in the forward position.
Better have called and shut down your stream on me, LOL. The DIY Misfit Mechanic.
Okay, so that's toggling it open. Let me flip-flop my connectors. We're going to toggle it closed.
I think that is your glitch. That just doesn't look right to me, PJ.
And that's going in the closed position. This waveform here, I think these pulses right here are the brushes, and then we bottom out that actuator. And I don't know if there's anything else built into that circuit, if there's a control board inside of the throttle body that's going to limit our power consumption. Maybe if we get to keep one, we'll crack it open and find out what's inside.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad, sadly. Steve?
Okay, so the throttle body motor seems to look okay according to Steve. I've never tried that test on another one, so I don't have a reference.
Is the other one the same, I wonder? Steve?
We can find out real quick.
You want me to go underhood? Keep you with the laptop underhood.
Keep me with the laptop. We'll make those laptop live again.
There's a glitch in there, Polly.
Okay, so here is the other throttle body closing, and that waveform does look quite a bit different. Let me flip the leads and we will power it open instead of closed.
You're gonna have to look at me for this one. Known goods, and then that emoji. Pico.
I don't have any known goods that I can reference.
Smacked PCM, but we didn't smack TV. McKinsey. Go
Now,
back. Oh, I'm sorry.
the new throttle body is really, really noisy. The gears inside are noisy. But it does have a lot more linear and smooth transition there. So we want to beat on the throttle body, right?
Go back to cable-driven throttle. End of problem. Phil.
Okay, I'm sure they make a conversion kit. So the original throttle body, in my opinion, sounds better. The gear reduction part of it anyways. I can't verify.
She sounds funny, Polly.
Sounds funny? Or I sound funny?
Well, she. But the thing you're doing.
Okay.
You're all caught up.
I'm all caught up? Mm-hmm. Okay, what do we want to do next? Do we want to get a factory throttle body and see how it goes? We can try clearing the codes again. I'm going to lose the laptop on the screen, but I'm just going to jump over there. We'll clear codes. I'll do an ETC relearn again, and we'll see what happens.
You could OHM the motor, CKT on TB.
Okay. So that's ohm the motor circuit on the throttle body.
Are you asking me or telling me?
Telling you.
Yes. I'm supposed to be on laptop, right?
No, there's nothing on the laptop, and my scanner's unhooked.
Oh, okay.
So we did get throttle response. It must not have cleared codes for me.
Take TB off and jump on it. Pico. It's probably brushless anyway. No idea what to look for there, Steve. Clear codes and relearn. Rust belt.
Okay, you guys won't be able to see it on the screen, but I'm doing the relearn right now. So Valerie will entertain you with a full screen shot of herself.
Full screenshot of what? Run to the junkyard, get 1 or 2 or 3. Phil. Yes, get new one. I need to go to bed. Steve.
Is that Steve Scott?
No, it's Steve Jacobson.
Where are you from? Because in Colorado, it's only 2:30.
It's time for a nap. Can you try waiting for 30 seconds with ignition off after the learn? Bill.
Yes.
Steve's from Norway.
And what time is it there?
Bedtime.
Bedtime. Okay, so relearn is done. We're going to turn the key off and leave the key off for 30 seconds or more while I grab a drink.
Main Lumix.
We need a follow cam.
It's 10:30 p.m. What are you supposed to have on signal wires unplugged? 5-volt pull down, pull up, say anything in flow chart? Phil.
Did we find an actual flow chart? I don't remember if we did.
Do you want me on the laptop?
Yeah, let's go to the laptop. Especially for that one code that we had, 2101.
a.m. in Japan, where 2 of my kids went for a month. I gotta raise their rent when they get back, lol. DIY misfit mechanic.
Okay, set conditions PCM too large of an error between actual position of throttle plate and the set point position. 1 trip fault. Possible cause, throttle body, low battery voltage PCM. Pre-diagnostic troubleshooting. I don't think that's going to be related to this one. Is it active at this time? It may have cleared for this time, but we'll say that yes. Inspect the throttle body, make sure that it's clean of ice and dirt.
We all know the chart requires new PCM and TV. Polly.
Manually open and close it with your hand. Does it move? Yes. And it says to do that test with the key off.
Step 1, is it active? Rust belt.
I'll turn the key back on and we'll check codes. So that was probably a good 2 minutes, let it reset.
Do you want me on any specific camera?
Is my laptop or my scanner still working, or did it die? Or is it black screen?
No, it's still on.
Okay.
And you're at 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Step 2, check foreign material, manually move, yes, go to 3.
Okay, so it is an active code. It did reset again, and I'm guessing at this point it would not give me throttle control. I had it that one time, but now the code's set again. So step 3, start engine, allow it to reach normal operating temperature. It's going to take a while. Monitor the actual TP and the desired TP. Compare the actual and the set point throttle position. Needs to be within 2 degrees of each other. Did that one die?
No, but you're blurry.
Oh, it's because I'm too close to it probably. It's on manual focus.
So what do you want me to do?
There's a ring here. We'll have to adjust it.
There you go.
Okay. I don't know if that's any better. I can't.
Did you mean to zoom yourself in?
It doesn't. That camera, that lens doesn't zoom.
I beg to differ. It was just on your chin.
No, it's just blown up.
Oh, gotcha.
I really don't want to warm it up all the way, but we may have to. We may just have to leave it running in the background while we read through the rest of this, which we can do. Let me read the rest of it. Make sure there's nothing that says we need to do something while it's cold, because I've had that in the past as well. And then you're like, well, great, I just warmed it up. With the scan tool, actuate the electronic throttle motor. Of course, I don't have, all I have is my snap-on scope. We do have an Autel scope here. My launch is in my other vehicle.
People
Yeah.
called it your stash cam.
Stash cam.
Laptop?
I'm just gonna start this up for a minute.
Okay.
You can entertain them.
I did not come equipped to entertain them. I can describe what you're doing.
I'm just putting a hose on the car.
Well, that just took what I was gonna do. Are you mic'd up? Can they hear you? I said, are you mic'd up? Can they hear you? From
Yeah,
over
everyone
there?
can hear me still.
Oh, well then you can talk.
She wants me to talk.
I
I'm putting
got
an
nothing to
exhaust
say
hose
about
on it
this.
so we
I'm
don't
just here
smoke
to read the
ourselves out.
comments.
The vehicle is running rough at this point, and I think what it's doing is, since it can't control the throttle body, it's trying to limit the RPM by maybe disabling the injectors or a spark timing event. And I suppose while we're waiting for it to warm up, we can look at the scan tool. We can see if we can find those data pits that we need, just so we're prepared. I wouldn't think that the test would be required to have the engine fully warmed up.
I missed one from Rust Belt. Step 3, actuate TP and monitor desired TP. Compare actual and set point.
You have to give me 1 sec.
Do you want me to stop reading?
Yeah, I can't hear you over the engine. Okay, I'll go read all the questions in a second. Unfortunately, the data pits that it tells us to look at, we don't have. We have throttle blade position, but we don't have what the set point should be. We have desired TPS voltage, but we have 2 voltage PIDs. We don't know which one they're wanting us to use. So we may not be able to do that test anyways.
You can come over here and read comments.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to read them in the forest with me?
Sure.
Awesome. Here, I'll
Oh,
scoot over.
we gotta scoot over so I can get in the forest. Sorry, quick trip to the forest so we can read some questions.
I left off right here.
Okay, step 1, is it active? Check 2, for material. I did check it. There was a small piece of carbon. I got that cleaned off, and it still has issues. Actuate TP, monitor desired TP, compare actual and set point. I don't know if it's just a snap-on issue, but it doesn't show my desired set point. And then pretty much all leads to replace the throttle body. I got a feeling we're heading towards a throttle body replacement and possibly a PCM issue. I don't like that the throttle body has that little bit of a sticking even after I cleaned it out. The customer cleaned it also. And the test doesn't say bad PCM, but I'm always a little leery when a PCM has been installed. Unfortunately, the last one of these that I had in the shop, it wasn't the 5.7, it had the 4.7 in it. A PCM was unavailable from the dealership. I had to get one aftermarket. The first one was programmed incorrectly, and then I got another one that was programmed right, but I had the vehicle at my shop for over a month because of it. Yep, nothing about single signal wire checks. Flowchart in the end says replace tip-em. Yeah, I'm surprised this one didn't say that as well. Maybe this vehicle doesn't have a tip-em. I can't tell if the desired TP is within 2 degrees of actual because the snap-on doesn't show it. I could probably boot up the Autel. I won't be able to show it on screen, so I'll just have to bring it in front of the camera.
Are you supposed to be smoking?
Maybe. Let me switch cameras.
It's at the top.
The vehicle's smoking just a little bit.
Or you can do both of us in it, but I think we'll be covering the... Can we do it?
Oh, was it underhood? Yeah, there it is.
This one?
Lumix underhood. Has a little bit of a smoke haze coming out of there. I mean, it is Colorado, so it's expected.
There we go.
Yeah, now we're there with the smoke.
Fix it from here.
Fix it from here? You can't. I can't get my arms over there. We're leaving the green screen. Okay. Is it warm enough yet? I get really impatient when I have to wait for something to warm up. Normally, I have another vehicle that I go and work on. Yeah, look how clean it is right behind us, Jay. There's just nothing there.
Going back to the forest.
Go back to the forest. We've really started the whole green initiative in our shop. We are no longer going to be working on cars. This is the last car we're working on. We are going to go for nothing but green. Yep.
Unsubscribe.
Okay, I'm going to go check the scanner, make sure that there isn't something in there I missed, see if we can find what the actual and desired should be. But, oh, I didn't hit the fix button. You would think with the last update on my scan tool that they would have, made that button bigger, but I still can't seem to find it. And I may plug in the Autel. Hopefully the battery is good enough to run for a few minutes. So I don't think it was in the snap-on. I'll just plug in the Autel. We'll see if we can find it. Valerie will keep you entertained.
No, I'm just going to put him under the hood to watch the smoke. Am I hooked up to that or no? No? Okay. I just have it under the hood.
I thought you were keeping him entertained.
I don't have anything to do.
Okay, I'm going to shut the vehicle off for a minute. It looks like maybe a valve cover leak onto the exhaust or something. Now that it's warming up, we're getting some smoke. And no surprise, the Autel appears to be dead. So we will have to plug it in.
Candace left a comment on one of my videos. She said, should I be concerned I know what Chad's referencing with the puppets? How you said, like, your hand? I don't know. Still don't know what you're talking about. I thought her comment was funny.
They do that all the time. Come on.
You're on main Lumix right now.
Okay, so I don't use the Autel much. I bought it from the Snap-on guy and sold it to my brother. The blue light is on, but there's nothing on. Oh, there we go. Finally booting up.
Does the throttle blade move smoothly with your hand, Pico?
Yes. Actually, once this boots up, I'll plug in the cord.
Next purchase. Bluetooth camera and mounted to a headlamp. Chad GoCam. Rest belt.
Was it the last live stream?
So.
I took the cylinder head off of a Toyota 4Runner, and I actually had a GoPro wired up with power and signal wires running over to the computer. So it wasn't wireless, but we still had head cam.
Charge those batteries, Bill. You guys and your fancy technology, Polly.
Okay, you want to switch to scanner, see if anything pops up. I may have to reconfigure the screen a little bit.
It's thinking. It says no signal so far.
Okay, it may not go through. You can go back to main Lumix. I think the only other thing I could do differently is from our current live stream setup is have a production crew to just walk around with cameras.
I can do that.
Well, I still need somebody to switch the inputs.
That's true.
Okay, I'm trying to find Jeep in here.
Love my Panasonic Lumix. Breast belt.
Which one do you have? Do you have the GH4 or the GH5? We're running on the G7.
Isn't that the dream? LOL, rest belt. Well, you can hire your nephew to follow you around with the camera. You need a drone shot. Toyota texted it.
Not sure how to get the image from the drone. It had to be like a 25-minute live stream because I got about 26 minutes of battery power in my drone.
Breast belt says the G7.
Okay, that's what we're running. We have 3 of them now. We keep picking them up whenever we find them on the Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist for a decent price. The only bad thing about it is the autofocus. That's why we're running manual focus on this one, because last time we kept going in and out, in and out.
Speaking of shots, it's about that time. Polly.
Okay, I'm almost there with the Autel scanner, and then I will put you guys on the screen here. We'll see if we have better data on the Autel.
Please don't hire Discovery Channel. We like that your channel isn't fake, Pico.
Yeah, we'd have to be way more dramatic. I would have thrown the scanner across the shop already. Was that Orange County Choppers? Were they on Discovery Channel?
I don't remember.
That's how that channel turned out.
Autofocus is not too bad compared to others in that price range. Breast belt. Using a Rode Link lapel mic. Breast belt.
Yep. I'm not sure what my battery life is right now. I don't think we've had a live stream this long.
We are at 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Yeah, we are way over our allotted diagnostic time. Okay. The iTail's finally booted up and connected to the PCM. Yeah, that is rough.
That's what I use too. Usually lasts 3.5 hours. Press belt.
Okay, on the iTail, I'm seeing throttle blade position, desired TP position, and TP voltage.
Throw the autel, start yelling at random things. Pico.
Do we need to start a fire too? We need to have the fire department here, the shop shut down, the street shut down. Throw some tools.
Meanwhile, 4 gravy jobs went to the GST. Polly.
Exactly.
Fires are always a good time. Chris? Did you finish filming, Chris? If not, I'm going to block you from the chat.
Okay. Autel was a flop. We got the same data. So, I'm not sure why the desired TP voltage doesn't match our actual TP voltage or if that's a problem. But it's also not trying to activate the throttle body at the moment. And I know a lot of vehicles, when the key is on and you have them and everything's active, if you lightly push against the throttle blades, don't stick your finger in there in the closing mechanism, but if you lightly push against it, it'll fight you and it'll push back. This one's not doing that, probably because it set the code and went into the limp mode. I think just because the throttle body is sticking internally, we're going to recommend a throttle body. I think we're coming back to we're looping back around again. I'm going to replace that connector if I can get it because the locking tab's already busted off of it. So we'll have that taken care of as well. And then if that should make it perform better. The aftermarket throttle body didn't perform at all. No motor activation, so it didn't like something in that throttle body. This one activates sometimes. I think we'll start with the throttle body.
You may catch you up on comments?
Sure. Actually, I'll just come around because we're kind of winding down over here.
Okay, you may put you back in the forest?
Yep.
In the jungle? Did you really think I meant jungle?
It was the first free image I could find. I'll be right back.
Oh, well, you should have told me that before I clicked on myself. Hi. Did you do that on purpose? Mr. Practical Mechanic? I didn't see what you did. You're just waiting it out? I can read them.
I jumped from tree to tree. Do you see that?
Oh, you're George in the jungle.
George
now.
of the jungle. Oh, it's really warm over here.
It's because I have my heater on and a blanket.
And I don't know if there was an echo when I was over here talking. I didn't realize we got 2 mics going. Okay, where you at?
I left off at this one right here from Bill.
That should be within 2%. The electrical, the TP voltage, it's not really even close to 2%. So that could be the issue that we're having. It does seem to be switching fine from high to low, but I'm guessing with if the throttle body was closed more, then it would be within the 2% range, and that's what it needs to do to bring that idle down. But the PCM is not even commanding the throttle body to move at the moment. Your Autel's been gone for a month to get the battery replaced? Yeah, it was an electrical fire on this Jeep. Buy a YTech. There's a lot of tools I need. I have, this is a YTech too. I have my J2534 tool licensed for Chrysler, but I've only used it one time or twice. I don't like having to pay for the subscription. Doing the math of the values you saw is over 20%. Yeah. Five minutes of your video edited. Right now, I'm trying to edit way too many videos. I think I have like 20 of my Biscayne videos that are partially filmed and poorly organized that I'm trying to edit. Yeah, we're hanging out in the rainforest. We gave up on the vehicle. So we're just going to hang out over here. Yes, it is sponsored.
Chris's squalid comment.
I think they're we'll call it a squirrel, but it probably will look more like a sloth. We have to go after those because they're a little slower.
That's the only thing we can catch.
Okay. Since I'm not making a whole lot of progress, I think we'll wind this one down.
But it's only been 3 hours.
But we are way over our allotted time on this one. I mean, if you consider the 6 hours it took us to set up, we could at least spend 50% of that time streaming.
I can't even catch a sloth.
If it's on the ground, your blanket there,
Yeah?
so it looks like a beaver pelt. Is that a dirty joke, Chris?
And that's the end of the stream.
It's going downhill fast.
Oh, lordy. Just gonna tuck this down.
Okay, I know we didn't come up with anything conclusive on the throttle body. We didn't see anything obviously failing. But I don't know. It's one of them things that I'm not super familiar with the system. It's kind of new to me. So, I just have to go through and test everything the way I would normally do it and see what the results are, see if anything stands out to me. Nothing really stood out other than the sticking throttle body, which could be causing an issue. I don't like the aftermarket throttle body. It sounds terrible. So I'm going to start with a OEM throttle body and go from there. I guarantee you that will fix it. And a PCM maybe. If I have to reflash it, the new PCM, I'm not sure if I want to do it in-house or not. It seems like I spend twice as much time trying to program Chrysler stuff than any other manufacturer. So I may just bring it over to the dealership. It's just half a mile down the road and have them do it. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? And if not, we'll wrap it up. I really appreciate the donations. It will definitely go towards improving our live streams. Hopefully after the holiday season, we will get more on a regular schedule. Mm-hmm. We also have to try and get vehicles booked and lined up that are going to stay over the weekend. Let me know if you guys like the Diags or the repair videos. If we don't have a Diag video, we can always do a repair video. I know that a lot of people like the diagnostic stuff better, but whatever we have, we can do. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the reminder, Kyle. If you haven't already, you may have to drop the comments down because they like to hide it on you, but click the thumbs up button.
And also, oops, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, don't forget to put that screen up if anybody wanted a sticker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, anyone watching right now, I'll send you out a free sticker. At the end of the stream, I will have my email address on the screen. We'll also put it in the description. admin@thepracticalmechanic. And send me your name, your screen name on YouTube, your address.
Social security number.
Social security number, mother's maiden name, place of birth, your first pet, your first car, your address, and we'll send you a sticker. So if you want a sticker, I'm sure that we can get it to Canada. Val, your plug-in.
Nope, we don't have one. We're just here for Chad.
Making sure I don't typo it. So there's my email address in the comments there if you want to click on that. I'll also put it up at the end of the screen. Let me grab a sticker and I'll show you what it looks like.
Excellent job as usual. Sorry I couldn't participate more. It kept me my last 3 hours entertaining.
Okay, that is the sticker. It's just a small round sticker. Hopefully you have room to stick that somewhere. Hopefully. What time are you going live? We're going to tear down this stuff to get it out of the way in the shop. And I normally don't have it all set back up
Nope.
the first night just because it's so much work to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll play on the mobile devices or the television, one or the other. 7:30 Eastern, so 5:30 our time. So we got 2.5 hours.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks for sticking through the whole thing. If you were here the whole time, if not, thanks for jumping in late. And and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye.